Hi, welcome to Art and Soul. I'm your host, Kelly MacIntyre, and we've got a great show for you this week. We're going to start off with a center stage interview here with director John Cripton, and then we hit the road to visit calendar girl and fiber artist Donna Funnel. We close the show with a little, shall we say, illusion with Ted Outerbridge. All that in the next 30 minutes. Here today to talk about Agatha Christie's Witness for the Prosecution, and you've got a cast of lawyers. Is this sort of life imitating art, or it's going to be an interesting production?
It's something that is done in different communities. The lawyers offer their services and fundraise for one of the local institutions, but I think this is the second time here in Milton this has taken place.
And tell us a little bit about the storyline.
Well, you have a play that was based on a book that Agatha Christie wrote in the early 50s that didn't have the same kind of ending as the play. Once she was asked to turn it into a play, she decided to give a funny, twisty ending to it, which most of the producers don't want to reveal in advance. But She is a prolific writer. I mean, she has written over 66 books, and she's the third most popular book writer in the world. I mean, after Shakespeare and the Bible. But her works seem to capture a lot of the imagination of people, and this particular story has its twists around it. It brings the audience into the picture and tries to convince the audience that they are the jury.
And it's interesting because you've got lawyers who are in their day-to-day life. I mean, there's courtroom situations. They're in their own setting. How do you bring an actor out of a lawyer and draw that creative?
It's not surprisingly difficult if you think of what a lawyer has to do.
Yes.
Usually, the lawyers want to be able to be able to speak very clearly to their public, and they already have what it takes to become very literate in their writing and in their speaking. After all, the legal profession is really based on language, and it's how you artfully craft that language. So in the case of the lawyers that we're using, some of them have had experience before and some have not. But when we had to do the audition, there were, I think, 17 or 18 lawyers that applied for 18 jobs.
Okay.
So my job was not necessarily to weed them out, but to just try to cast them and see which character could.
Niche,
And in this particular instance, it's worked out fabulously. I mean, some of these characters are who they really are in the story.
And again, who they really are. But let's talk a little bit about you and a little hint of what you're all about. You're described as Canadian Theatre's impresario, producer, former general manager at Canada Council for the Arts, and the first cultural broker to open the doors for Canada and China to share each other's theatrical riches. And I have to ask you, John, what inspires you with the arts? Where did this passion come for you over this journey in your career?
I'm not quite sure where it emanated, because I'm the first person in my own family to get involved in this business, and I've been in this business now for more than 45 years. I started out as a musician, if you can imagine, in the 60s, which is a beautiful time, and spent years in New York and Boston and Montreal, and decided I liked this business, but I wasn't quite sure I was going to be a musician for the rest of my life. And I studied theater and became an impresario, worked for the government, Canada Council. I even ran the National Arts Centre for a few years. And then I said, well, you know, I've got some other things I want to contribute. So I began doing some directing and producing, and managed to find myself in different parts of the world negotiating cultural exchanges with Canadian artists going to different countries and foreign artists coming to Canada, which Canada really did not have that many tours by prominent artists, so I tried to do some of that work. And later in life, I began to say, well, now my turn to do some creative work myself, and here I am directing.
And again, we're here at the Arts Centre, and you know the magic of sharing the arts with a community, and how just the importance of having this building here and sharing the arts and these productions with our local community in Halton. It is priceless. It's a gift.
It's a rallying point, really, for people who are creative or interested in something beyond sports, and all of these things have their place. But a community without a cultural center is really missing something, missing all kinds of opportunities. And this particular building has so many elements going together so that all kinds of people from different backgrounds in the arts will come together, and it'll make a much better community.
Definitely. And speaking of coming together, we've got the performances 3 nights, October 18th, 19th, and 20th.
That's
again,
correct.
for the production
Yes.
here at the beautiful Arts Center.
Yes.
And again, John Cripton, thank you so much. What a delight having a chance to speak to you and share your stories, but also a little bit of information about Witness for the Prosecution. And we'll be right back in just a moment. Well, this week on Art and Soul, we're in the Creative Studio with Donna Funnel, and you've got an interesting journey in the arts, and I'm going to hold on to these till later to share with everyone, but you've sort of transitioned and changed from where you started to, you know, where you've evolved to now. So maybe let's share a little bit of your journey with the viewers. You've got a beautiful quilt on your lap. We've got some here to show everybody. Tell everybody where you started and how that's taking you to where you are.
Well, I started back in the 80s doing traditional quilt making, and in the early 2000s I started transitioning into more art quilting. So this piece that I have here on my lap is the very first one I did that was a design of my own.
And so probably more familiar to people for traditional quilting, some embellishing again
Yes.
on the piece, but probably more familiar. But you took this to a different level too over the years, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So color, embellishment, pattern, all of those things I really, really like in my work. So that was one of the first pieces.
Okay.
Okay. And then I transitioned into another design. This one was in a juried show a few years back.
So more textured materials, a bit more raised, bit more, texture, I'd say, to it.
Yes. And it's also collaging.
Okay. Oh, this,
And-
faces?
Yes, those
Throughout,
are
okay.
masks. And this one was in the Waterloo juried show, and it got first place.
It's beautiful, just the detail.
Yes.
So this is sort of the next
The
kind of
next
step,
step,
where you're
right, taking it a little bit further.
right.
Also, I transitioned a little bit more. This is a model or a mock-up of a larger quilt that I made for a commission for quilt for breast cancer. And the larger one was auctioned off at Casaloma and received a very nice money reward. I'm not sure who bought it, but so I have a small copy of it.
Oh, wonderful.
So this one also is collaging. A lot of the fabrics are hand painted by me, and it involves lots of beading and hand embroidery.
Now this is, so the quilting, you've taken it into a whole different area, because now sort of your signature pieces, I mean, we're noticing again the table behind you, they're becoming everything from book covers to, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe show us where this has gone and how you've sort of taken it to a whole other level with this embellishing.
Okay, so I'm also interested in bookmaking as well, and I started doing a lot of collaging and using paper into my work, but also incorporating stitch. So this is a paper cover, but it's completely machine stitched and hand stitched
And
as
again,
well.
when you go into the detail of this rose and you know, even the wording on here, so that's all done. Is that done by hand then, Donna?
Yes. that part's by hand.
Just painstakingly.
So you can see on the inside, a lot of it is paperwork with drawing, but also includes small projects that are stitched.
Is it an idea, Donna, and then you think, okay, this is what I'd love it to look like, and you work backwards, or do you just sort of have the idea of what you'd like to do, and it sort of evolves with pages,
Well,
and each page is a different story?
It's kind of intuitive. So it started with this page here. I was doodling on a page that was covered in paint.
Okay.
And then I saw roses in it. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll make a
So the common
journal
theme would come-
about
okay.
roses. And it's not really a coincidence, but my mother's name is Rose.
Okay.
So it kind of, you know, the vintage feel, the collections of things that I love, just sort of evolved in a story maybe about her.
Okay.
And me.
And the thing is, you Zentangle with the you know, the
Right.
primary, so that up to grade 8. But then you're also teaching at the Art Center, and you've got
Yes.
courses. You've got a course. I think this week is the last week for this session, but you've got some exciting things coming on again with teaching at the Art Center. So tell us a little bit about what's coming up with this program.
I'll be teaching art quilting, and this is part 3. So each time I've taught it, it's been a little bit different. It's still evolving. So last spring I did one that included mixed media with quilting. So we were also collaging papers and fabrics and sewing on those as well. And one of my 2 samples here, this is one of the samples from the class that we did, using a number of different techniques. And the background here is actually tissue paper collaged. And we've got other things like Tyvek envelopes, this sparkly stuff, Angelina fibers, and
you want to dabble in the arts and try something new. What a
yes,
wonderful-
and it's
you
easy for everybody.
Yeah.
You should have a little knowledge of your sewing machine, but you can do a lot of things by hand as well. We also tried our hand at transfer images onto fabric and including those into our work. And this background here is collaged fabrics and papers as well.
Can we just brag about this one? This is your
Yes.
latest cover.
This is my latest cover here, my Rose Journal, which is this one.
Right.
And I was thrilled. This is from Interweave Publishing, which publishes cloth, paper, scissors. And they asked me to send my piece to them. And I was in Florida at the time, I quickly came home and got it ready and sent it off.
Incredible. And again, you've got classes, sign up is this week at the Art Center, and people can get more information about your art and your medium and you.
From my blog or from email, or if you want to find out about the course at the Art Center, milton.ca.
Thank you so much, Donna.
Oh,
your
you're
creative,
welcome.
colorful world is fabulous. Thank you.
Thank
Well, what the viewers might not realize, that in Bulgaria, leather making is quite a tradition and is quite an art. And in Canada, there's not a lot of people that put the TLC and a little bit of soul into creating these fabulous products. Well, we're at V&P Leather and nestled here at Bronte and Laurier, and I'm here with Virginia and Peter, who's going to be working here in the leather little studio here. Virginia, I think it's just taking people into the studio gives you a sense of how incredibly detailed the work you do is in leathercraft. So maybe tell people again what happens in this space and what your specialty is.
You can see that it's quite tight here, so it's a very small space, but we do an amazing job. So we manufacture purses, belts, everything made from genuine leather. And my husband also does the leather carving, so you can see on the background the tooling that he does. And behind that we provide a bunch of small repairs, including the harness repairs. My husband does shoe repair, we do small alterations and so on. So you can see different kind of wallets,
and saddlery as well.
key holders,
Yeah,
saddlery,
yeah.
absolutely. And the main thing is everything here is absolutely unique. You can see that we have only 2 sewing machines.
And there's history. There's
and
history
it's
with
a
this sewing
history
machine. Yes.
Beside the one, yes.
This
so
machine is from 19th century. This one.
it's very old, so actually you can see that the new sewing machines are not coming in black color anymore. So this one is at least over 100 years old. So actually my husband went back at home to bring the machine. So that's how we started. And the other one that I work most of the time is bought here, but it's again an old one, and I love it. It does an amazing job.
And Virginia, you know what's interesting is because this isn't something new. This is, Peter is how many generations of leather making? You married into this family, immigrated to Canada, and have built this business here, in Milton. And I think it's just such a fascinating story for people that are, they have a dream and they're carrying on their tradition from their homeland. You've actually are a success story because you've made it work and you're doing what you love as a business.
Actually, yes, my husband's father, my father-in-law, started his business in 1975. So he was mainly the harness leather. So he did all for horses. Once we started the business, we found that there is a need for purses and belts and for the repair work as well.
The thing is, Virginia, for people watching, again, you see so many, we're talking about purses and belts. Take us through what's the difference between, what we're seeing, like a vinyl and a leather. And that quality, you might be paying a little bit extra, but the longevity on that piece, the quality of that piece, maybe take us through a little bit of information for us.
So I always show my customers a belt that says on the back, if the camera can catch that, genuine leather. But I decided to open the belt and see what is inside. So only the lining of the belt is a very tiny pigskin. Then in the middle we have a hard plastic that gives actually the hardness of the belt. And on the very top we have a nice looking vinyl that is an imitation of the leather. So how can we know that this belt is not made, since it says on the belt that it's a genuine leather? It's very difficult, even for me and my husband as professionals. It's very difficult to find the difference. But one thing that I suggest is the smell. The vinyl cannot make the smell
to mimic the smell. Even as we walked in here into your home,
you can feel it. You can feel that. The other thing is, if there is edges that are not turned inside, that we use is an Italian one.
It's beautiful.
So we
and
have
colors are people can customize the colors and styles and things too.
They can come and they can. We do very often custom work. So if the customer likes the personal item, they can come and they can say, okay, I want the same item redone. Okay. So we go as close as we can for the design. And
and we've got Peter finishing up the eagle. And I think what people need to see, that just it's from the heart. It's done with the hand. Everyone turns out a little bit differently because it's all the detail in them is so incredible.
This leather is different from this leather. Explain that.
That's the best quality leather that is available. It's called vegetable tan leather. The difference between this leather and the vegetable tan is because this leather is tanned without oil, so it absorbs water. So in order to make all the stamping and carving, the designs, we need to wet the leather. Then we press, actually with all those small tools, we press the shape down, and this way we give the 3D dimension of the leather. The difference between the wood carving and the leather carving is we don't take any pieces. We just press the leather down, so to make it to make the shape and the design.
Well, Peter and Virginia, it's been wonderful coming into your workshop and having a visit here. Now, for people, again, they can get an education, let alone coming in just to purchase or order or shop here. How do they get a hold of you? Again, is it a phone number, or how would you like people to contact you?
My phone number that they can reach me almost 24 hours, that's 905-875-4966. And my email is V, stands for Virginia, P for Peter, .leather@gmail.com. They can reach me also on a bunch of craft shows. I'm heading this Saturday in Grimsby, and over the summer I'm in Stratford in the Art in the Park between.
But for everybody in our viewing area, you're nestled at Bronte and Laurier, and again, easy to find. We've got the numbers to connect with you. Thank you so much for letting us come and visit this magical leather studio. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. Or should you really believe what you see? It's all in the eyes of illusion. And we're going to close this show this week with the incredible Ted Outerbridge. Well, I'm here with illusionist Ted Outerbridge, and earlier we saw again with Marion this levitation and this partnership of you, not only on stage but off stage, is just incredible. How you've been on this journey of magic. And I have to let the audience know, you were born on the most magical night of the year, Christmas Eve, and all of a sudden this journey from that day on with magic and performing when you were 12, and to where you are today, this lifetime of magic. It's always been a passion of yours, has it?
Always, yeah. Well, when I was 7, I was running around fooling grown-ups with magic tricks, and by the time I was 12, I was doing the birthday party circuit as Magic Ted, charging $5 a show, and it's just always been with me, this desire to bring people a sense of wonder.
Right.
And it's about entertaining, using wonder as a tool. Well, I remember my first rock concert. I saw The Who, and I got goosebumps. It was, such an experience. So that's what I try to bring to our audience.
And talking about what you're going to be bringing, so it's exciting, this concert. You're launching it, or hitting the stage with a new illusion. Maybe share that with the audience when you're doing this show here at the Art Center.
Well, Marion and I have been brainstorming this one for years. Everyone wants to travel back in time. So Marion and I do this literally on stage. Marion climbs into a time machine. She travels back in time, and so far it's working out. She always comes back again.
Okay.
But we've been working on it for about 3 years, and
excited to launch it here.
Excited.
Yeah,
yes,
this is the start of this big tour. Now, I'm going to take you back a little bit. And again, Marion's from Germany, but let me take you to Germany again. And stepping back a little bit in time at the Hans Theater. This is the home of where the wonder of Houdini. This was his stage. You performed there, and at the end of that performance, standing there to a standing ovation. Tell me about that moment of just being in that moment there.
Well, when we first arrived and we were setting up, and someone said, Houdini played here exactly, 100 years ago. 50 years ago, actually. It was 100, wow. He was standing here. Yeah. And that was exciting.
Definitely.
And it was also exciting because I was attempting to perform in German, and I ended up humiliating myself because
twist of a word.
I walked out on stage and I was trying to say, "Good evening, last night I had an incredible dream," and what I really ended up saying was, "Good evening, last night I dreamt of being naked."
Great.
And everyone was smiling at me, and I thought it was my accent.
Very kind.
Now
I have to go to a quote of yours because I find it interesting, because this whole world of illusion, and your quote is saying, "The experience of wonder should come from the heart and not from a magic catalog." And having said that, you wonder when you're creating these illusions, is it a blend of, again, that passion with science and a little magic, or what's the formula behind that? How do you come up with these incredible illusions?
Well, Marion and I, when we brainstorm our illusions, often we'll have a method of accomplishing an illusion, and then we bring a story to it. We make a story
And again,
out of
coming
it.
from her theater and dance background, that blending of talents,
yeah.
just that it's such a performance, and for people to come out and see these shows, the entertainment factor is just incredible.
Yeah, well, for us, that's what it's about. I mean, sometimes the story comes first, and then we find some magic to put into the story, and other times it's a piece of music that we'll hear and we go,
Right,
oh, we
inspired
love
by
this,
that.
you know, what are we going to do with this? And we have a levitation in the show, which we call Tango Flottanta.
Oh, well,
And
okay.
so that started with the tango.
Yes.
And ended up being a very sort of romantic levitation piece set in a restaurant. So,
Okay. So the
yeah.
visuals for people coming again to the theater here to see that and again, we won't divulge, and this is where I'm going to get to the next part of this interview, the secrets. We won't divulge any of the secrets. What is the secret code with illusion and magicians, like decade upon decade, handing that, sort of that information to the next generation of illusionists and magicians? Is it trade secrets? Do you share ever? For people, kind of wondering, or is it something you just take with you when you step away from your career?
I mean, magicians hang on to their secrets. It's all about wonder. If people know how it works, then the wonder is gone. It's usually a bit of a letdown if you know how
Of course.
an illusion is accomplished. And magicians will share secrets, I guess, based on, their background and seniority. And, a veteran magician would share some basic secrets with a beginner, and when they've, earned their way up, then they would share some more advanced secrets.
Well, we won't ask you to share all the secrets of this upcoming performance, but maybe share with the audience a little bit of what they can expect at this this new show you're going to be launching here.
Well, it's a mix of interactive magic involving the audience, which is really fun for us, and grand illusion. The theme is time, so we'll be traveling through time. I end up impersonating a psychic game show host. Marion's levitating. We divide Marion in two pieces under test conditions. We have audience members holding her head and legs, divide her in two. I'll be vanishing and reappearing in the middle of the audience, which is exciting for me as well as the audience.
Yes.
I never know where I'm going to show up, so that's always fun.
Oh, definitely. And again, for people to get more information, even learn more about you and Marion and just the journey you've been on with this illusion, all these different shows, it's a wonderful website to go to, and maybe share that with everyone at home, and they can get ticket information as well for the upcoming show.
Yeah, TedOuterbridge.com is the place to go, and you'll be able to find out all about us and what makes us tick and what to expect.
Talk and time machine travel.
Yes.
Ted Outerbridge, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot.
Well, that's the show for this week. Thank you so much for watching. And for everyone here at TV COGECO, I'm Kelly MacIntyre, and we'll see you next week.